Have you ever felt like your own mind is secretly out to get you? Well, let's dive into this explainer and explore the totally fascinating and yeah, definitely frustrating science of why our brains constantly invent threats that just aren't there. We've all had those moments where our imagination totally runs wild, right? But the actual mechanics behind why this happens are just mind-blowing. So today we're going to break down exactly why your brain constructs these invisible adversaries, and more importantly, how understanding this can completely change the way you navigate your everyday life. Picture this, because we've literally all been here. You walk into a room, someone glances over, makes brief eye contact with you, and then quickly looks away. Instantly, before you even have time to process it, this massive anxiety-inducing question pops into your head. Did I do something wrong? I mean, just from a fraction of a second of someone shifting their gaze, your brain has already sounded the panic alarm and started frantically searching for reasons why you messed up. And of course, it doesn't stop there, right? That little spark of doubt catches fire immediately. Your anxious internal monologue kicks into high gear, pushing you way deeper into a panic over a totally fleeting interaction. Suddenly, you're not just wondering if you made a mistake. You're straight up asking yourself, wait, do they hate me? You are actively building a full-blown narrative of rejection based entirely on someone looking in another direction. I mean, they might have literally just been checking the clock. Fast forward 3 hours. You're sitting on the couch, staring at the ceiling, still obsessing over a moment that lasted 2 seconds. Are they judging me? It's so exhausting. But here is the really critical takeaway. That moment you're analyzing from absolutely every possible angle, it might not have meant anything at all. Maybe that person just remembered they left the stove on. This endless spiraling proves something pretty remarkable. The invisible villain in your daily life is often just your own biology, doing exactly what it was designed to do.
So this brings us to a pretty wild realization. What if your greatest enemy isn't actually another person? What if the adversary that's causing you so much stress, anxiety, and lost sleep isn't external at all? The reality is, your most formidable opponent is the completely fictional story your own brain is projecting to protect you. None of those harsh judgments or rejections actually happened in the real world. They were entirely constructed behind the scenes by a mind that's just trying to keep you safe from perceived harm.
And this is where our evolutionary hardware comes in. Think about ancient versus modern threats for a second. For our ancient ancestors, assuming a rustling bush was a predator was an absolute must. If they heard a noise, assumed it was a lion, and ran, they survived, even if it was just the wind. Fast forward to today, and we are still rocking that exact same survival hardware. Our amygdala is still the brain's alarm system. Except now, the predators aren't lions hiding in the bushes. Today, your brain treats a delayed text reply or an awkward conversation at work with the exact same life-or-death intensity.
So, why are we wired like this? Well, thousands of years ago, making a negative assumption was a massive survival advantage. Think about it. Being wrong was embarrassing, sure, but being wrong in the other direction could be fatal. If an ancestor panicked over the wind, they just felt a little silly. But if they ignored a rustling bush that actually turned out to be a tiger, that was the end of their story. We are literally the descendants of highly anxious people who always assumed the absolute worst. Because your brain still fundamentally treats modern uncertainty as physical danger, it tries to predict threats before they ever occur. Have you ever been in the shower, just washing your hair, and suddenly you're mentally rehearsing this vicious argument with a coworker that hasn't even happened? You're getting physically angry, your heart is pounding over a totally made-up scenario. That's just your brain actively filling in missing information with negative assumptions. It's trying to prep you for battle so you won't be caught off guard. You're fighting an invisible enemy that your own mind completely fabricated.
Psychologists actually have a term for this whole phenomenon. It's called the negativity bias. It's defined as the natural tendency for the mind to give far more attention to possible threats than to reassuring evidence. And this is so crucial to grasp. Your brain is not actually designed to make you happy, it is designed to keep you alive. The negativity bias is this ancient survival feature that's desperately trying to work in a modern world, and it fundamentally skews how you perceive reality. And here's the kicker. This bias isn't just a minor glitch. Mathematically, it is staggering. Think about the last time you got a performance review or posted a photo online. It literally takes just one single negative comment to completely erase the impact of 10 glowing positive ones. You could have 10 people tell you that you did an amazing job, but your brain will completely ignore them to fixate on the one person who gave a minor criticism. That is the negativity bias in action, highlighting the threats while totally ignoring safety.
So, what is the actual cost of all these imaginary enemies? It's heavy. When your brain constantly expects danger where there isn't any, the physiological toll is severe. Your system gets flooded with stress hormones, like cortisol, which keeps you in a state of physical exhaustion. You might start avoiding new, exciting opportunities because your brain tags the unknown as dangerous. You start losing trust in people, and you find yourself constantly overthinking incredibly simple, harmless situations. Day after day, this compounds, making relationships so much harder and completely draining your energy.
It is incredibly important to step back and realize what's actually happening here. The world hasn't suddenly become a more dangerous or hostile place. Your brain just falsely believes it is. And because of that false belief, an entirely imaginary villain begins dictating your life. This invisible enemy starts controlling your decisions, dictating who you talk to, what risks you're willing to take, and even how you feel about yourself. All without ever actually existing outside the confines of your own skull.
But hey, here is the amazing news. You are not permanently stuck with these factory settings. Your brain is an incredibly adaptable machine, and it can learn new patterns. You can actually teach it to stop defaulting to the worst-case scenario by using a simple 3-step cognitive tool. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into anxiety or assuming someone secretly dislikes you, you need to do this. First, pause. Second, ask for evidence. And third, recognize the brain's protection. Let's break these down real quick. The second you hit that pause button, the very next thing you absolutely must do is ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have? This is how you short-circuit that negativity bias. Instead of spiraling and asking, well, what if I'm right about this terrible threat? You have to forcefully challenge your own narrative. Ground yourself in actual, tangible facts. Did they actually say they were mad at you, or did they just take 2 hours to reply to a text? You've got to separate the concrete facts from the terrifying fiction your brain is trying to write.
The final step in breaking free is reframing the whole experience. Instead of viewing your anxiety as this definite sign that something is terribly wrong, take a softer approach. Ask yourself, what if my brain is simply trying to protect me? Acknowledge that your brain is a brilliant, well-intentioned machine. It just occasionally mistakes a stranger's neutral face for hatred, silence for outright rejection, and its own wild imagination for objective reality. By just recognizing its protective intent, you instantly strip that fear of its power over you.
When you consistently apply this tool and carefully examine the situation through a rational lens, you'll discover something pretty beautiful. Most of those fears, they just disappear. Why? Because the actual facts of the real world are usually far less threatening than the fiction we brew up in our heads. We start to realize that the universe isn't actually out to get us. More often than not, reality is far kinder and way more forgiving than the harsh stories we tell ourselves.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final, empowering thought to carry with you today. We often assume that courage means having absolutely no fear, but that just isn't true. The strongest people aren't those who never feel fear. They are the ones who have the courage to question the stories their own minds create. So the next time your brain invents an enemy, remember this core truth: not every thought deserves to be believed. I'll leave you with this. What imaginary enemy is your brain fighting right now? And what would happen if you simply stopped believing in it?